Today we're at the book, The Negroes and the Jews, page 212, and it states, Negroes' claim to be Jewish is legitimate. The land of Israel is located in Western Asia and borders of North Africa. So let's remember that. Israel is located in Western Asia and the borders of North Africa. And this is the book, The Negroes and the Jews. So now we're at the Semitic languages, and it states the Semitic languages are a branch of the Afro-Asiatic language family. They are spoken by more than 330 million people across much of West Asia, the Horn of Africa, and laterally North Africa and Malta, West Africa, Chad, and in large immigrant and expatriate communities in North America, Europe, and Eurasia. Terminology was first used in the 1780s by members of the Gaudian school of history, who derived the name from Shem, one of the three sons of Noah in the book of Genesis. As we can see, Shemitic geographic distribution: West Asia, North Africa, Horn of Africa, West Africa. So we know from the scriptures, genealogy is passed down from father to son, the Y chromosome. You share an ancient paternal lineage with Pharaoh Ramesses III, EV 38. And it states, you and Pharaoh Ramesses III share an ancient paternal line ancestor who probably lived in North Africa or Western Asia. And we know those are the regions where Israel or Canaan was in the biblical times, or the Shemitic peoples. So we'll be reading from this book, Picture History of Jewish Civilization. Old book. Bought it used from this guy, Edward Paris, 1971. So now we're going to go to I've made videos previously about this book and who the biblical people are. Your so-called blacks, Negroes. As we can see with the illustrations, Israelite slaves and so forth. Right here we have another illustration of Israelite or Hebrew slaves, people of color. Okay. Let's go. Pharaoh Ramesses II. Start out right here. But the shaky Egyptian government at home could send no aid to its officials in Canaan, reeling from the body blows delivered by the Hebrew in the 14th century. Egyptian power in Canaan began to crumble, and soon a more terrifying force appeared to melt the hearts of the Canaanite peoples as the desert sun makes dew vanish. As Egyptian power in Canaan began to wane, the Israelites had left Goshen and were now emerging from the wilderness to advance into the promised land with the irresistible drive of a people imbued with a mission. What had unleashed this group to brave the formidable expanses of desert, human foes, and the rigors of the elements? How from a mob of subservient slaves had these people been welded into a power so strong that the mere mention of their name struck terror into the hearts of the inhabitants of Sinai, Transjordan, and Canaan? The Pharaoh who reduced the Hebrews of Goshen to slavery is believed to have been Ramesses II. During his reign, the capital of Egypt was once more transferred to Zoan in Lower Egypt and given the name of Para-Ramesses, the House of Ramesses. This was the storage city built by the Hebrew slaves. The Hebrew slaves apparently left Egypt around 1280 BCE and headed for the Sinai Desert in an effort to steer clear of the Egyptian garrisons and the marauding Bedouins. In the dead of night, the Hebrews made a determined break for freedom. In Jewish tradition, The night is called a night of watching, and the Exodus from the land of the Nile under the leadership of Moses, the lawgiver and the greatest of the Hebrew prophets, became the central event in the memory of the people down the ages, in the concept of Jewish history as a turning point in the cultural pattern of the whole Western world. The Israelite spirit was forced in the deserts of Sinai and the Negev, trudging on the day after day across trackless wastes stretching in all directions as far as the eye could see, past massive mountain ranges that seemed to hold up the sky, and laying down exhausted and footsore under the still, clear, low-hanging skies at night brought the Hebrews near to the concept of the existence of a single supreme being. In Sinai, also the basis of their legal system was laid down and a firm foundation established for relations between man. But the greatest impact was made by the unequivocal adoption of a monotheistic faith in the ancient East, believed in powerful gods and goddesses with varying responsibilities and human traits, had been part of the lives of all people for centuries. No religion before had achieved the concept of a single, unseen, ubiquitous, omniscient God. Not even the faith of the Egyptian king Akhenaten, who had attributed supreme power to the sun disk Aton. Israelite or Jewish tradition ascribes the revelation of the Most High to Moses at various times during the wandering in the desert. It was on a tall, imposing peak called Mount Sinai that the God of Israel is said to have bestowed his sacred law on the Hebrews. Here the Lord of creation gave the Jews or Israelites in the world the 10 Commandments, embodying ethical standards which have become the basis of civilized life everywhere. So now we're at page 25, Ramesses III, the Israelite monarchy from Saul to the Babylonian conquest. No land stood up to them, according to an Egyptian inscription from the reign of Ramesses III, 1195 through 1164 BCE. The so-called peoples of the sea swept across Asia Minor like a tidal wave, leaving corpse and rubble in their wake. Who were these invisible terrors who the Egyptians said were advancing against them, preceded by a raging flame? The troops of Ramesses III embraced themselves for the attack of the invaders and succeeded in turning them back, but the Egyptian kingdom never recovered from the impact. So we all should be aware that the Bible is an exclusive book. It was written for the children of Israel, the progeny of Jacob. So let's get it from the scriptures. Amos 3:1-2, the prophet Amos. Hear the word that Yahweh, or the Lord, has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, or Kemet, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. I repeat, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. So now we're going to precept that scripture and go to Psalms 147:19-20. He showeth his word unto Jacob, or Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. Why? Because he made a covenant with that bloodline, those people. Verse 20, he has not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahweh. So he's letting you know that his judgments, and he's not dealing with the other nations. He hasn't dealt with them. He's only dealing with Israel, Jacob, his progeny, and so forth. Now read Amos 3:7. Surely the Lord Yahweh will do nothing, but he will revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. We'll skip down to Leviticus chapter 25, verse 55. For until the children of Israel are the servants, they are my servants whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your God.